Welcome to the Sidewalk CEO Podcast, a podcast for small business owners by small business owners. Each week, the Sidewalk CEO speaks with Frankfort area business owners about their journeys, sharing insights and firsthand experiences that can help fuel your path to success. Here are your hosts, Sherry Donahue, CEO and Chief Cybersecurity Evangelist of Commonwealth Sentinel Cybersecurity, and Leo Haggerty, founder of TCHQ Communications.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Sidewalk CEO. I'm Leo Haggerty.
And I'm Sherry Donahue.
Sherry, we survived episode 1. Are you ready for episode 2?
I am ready. I'm still on a little bit of a sugar high from Rebecca Ruth Candies, but I'm ready to see what we got this week.
So what we have this week is Celia Doss. Celia is a double threat. Not only does she run Living Waters Kentukcy, she's also Maui Silver Jewelry. And so we'll be talking to her in a second. The Sidewalk CEO, if you've never listened before, what we do is we talk with business owners in and around Frankfort, Franklin County area about their journeys to entrepreneurial, that's a tough word to say, how to be successful entrepreneurs. How about that? And find out what makes them tick and what makes their business successful. Celia, thank you for joining us. We said in the intro, you're a double threat. You've got 2 different businesses going on simultaneously here in Frankfort. Before we dig into those, why don't you tell us a little bit about your own background and how you ended up in Frankfort?
Okay. Well, thanks for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity. I love our Frankfort community. And I actually have been visiting Frankfort for 25 years since I fell in love with my husband, who's from here. So for me, Frankfort was always a vacation destination. Even had not an anniversary, but a engagement party here back 25 years ago. So yeah, I grew up in California, and I did meet my husband there right after college. Got a degree in anthropology and sociology, and we ended up moving to Maui after I finished my master's in integrative healthcare. We started a business there and raised 2 kids and had an incredible 18 years living the dream, they call it. Lots of snorkeling and hikes and just overall, 80-degree year-round bliss. We were very, very fortunate. We made it through a lot of challenges, and here we are. We just moved back here to Frankfort in August of 2023. And the reason we moved here, wasn't so positive. Our town burned down August 8th, 2023. Historic wildfire. And
so you kind of jumped out of the fire into the flooding.
Sure. Fortunately, our home that we had purchased in Frankfort in 2021 is nowhere near the flood zone. So my heart really goes out to anyone who has that issue here. And it was a little triggering, actually, and I felt almost guilty that, I wasn't affected. And it was scary. And anyway, I really feel for people who are still dealing with that.
Have you been back to Hawaii?
Yes, I actually took the kids back last year for the first time in spring break, March 2024. And yeah, it was hard, very hard, but good. And the kids have adjusted really well. So,
how's the recovery effort in Hawaii going? Because I imagine it's probably still going on, given what I've seen in the media.
Not that long ago, the understanding I have is that it's finally all the debris has been cleared, but I mentioned that to somebody who was just there. Actually, my neighbor was just visiting, and they were like, "Oh no, it's not all clear. There's still lots that have not been cleared." Well, there's all kinds of obstacles for some people to get that done. So, but they are rebuilding. So far, I think just homes are being in process of being rebuilt. I don't think any business locations have made any progress.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's going to be, I'd say, a decade before the town actually exists again.
So when you moved to Frankfurt, which I find it interesting that you talk about Frankfurt as your vacation destination when you live in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So most people would think of it the other way around.
Right.
But so did you consider trying to rebuild in Hawaii, or what was the impetus to come to here?
Well, the silver lining was that we had already purchased a home here as an investment, and kind of my husband's childhood dream of owning one of the old beautiful homes near the Capitol. So fortunately, we made that decision, back when everything was kind of somewhat normal. I mean, it was post-COVID, not really post. I mean, it was 2021 summer, so things we're trying to return to normal, but it was that weird normal where we all were masked up and everything. But we had tourism again. We had, our business in Maui was open again. So anyway, we made that investment. And then, when everything burned down in one night, we didn't actually own our home there, and we didn't own our business location. Those were both rentals. Mm-hmm. So we were kind of set free, when it burned. We were like, okay, we're not really responsible for these places. We lost our belongings, we lost our business items. But we're not going to be rebuilding. It's the owner's decision.
Right. So insurance, FEMA, those things helped you to get reestablished?
Yeah, FEMA gave us $700. It was incredible.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah.
That was our evacuation costs or something they paid for.
Wow.
But no, we didn't qualify with FEMA because we did actually have renter's insurance and business insurance, both of which were very underinsured.
Of course.
But fortunately, we had some insurance. So that helped us.
But like you said, you did have some place to come to.
And we had a home to come to, literally empty and waiting for us, not even rented out or anything.
Okay.
So
that's simultaneously scary and really cool to have an opportunity to restart.
For sure. Yeah. Yes. And I think it has been really good for our family, I have to say. And I attribute that to just the specialness of Frankfurt, just the community.
Well, and also, too, a lot of times people go through something so tragic as that, and then you have to completely reestablish your life. And, it could go the other way, too. It could just tear you apart. So that says a lot about, you and your husband as parents to have a good, close family like that. So congratulations on that, at least.
Thank you. Thank you. That's sweet.
All right. So let's talk to business. So you,
sure.
So you've got two businesses here in Frankfurt. Which was the first one that you got off the ground?
Well, so Maui Silver Jewelry and Custom Fit Toe Rings is the name of our LLC that we created back in 2006 in Maui. We had a great run there, until August 7th was our last day. We were open. And although we lost, all our inventory and equipment and all of that on August 8th, we did get a grant from a Maui nonprofit government, kind of, I don't know, forget what they're called, but there's some group gave us money to restart, to recover. And it was, it wasn't enough to restart on Maui really, but it was enough to restart here and keep it going. So we were able to replace all my husband's tools so he can make jewelry again, and repair jewelry. And then we do have an office downtown, and we have a little pop-up location inside Bourbon Bells and Babes. But mostly we sell online, or do little pop-ups at parties or events, like the Two Creeks Christmas fair, was my last big one. Okay.
So before we move on to more about that, we will put contact information in the notes so that people can reach you. But if somebody did want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Well, MauiSilverJewelry.com is a great way to check out our jewelry, our selection, and you can make a purchase or make an inquiry. You can message me directly through that website, or you can follow us on social media. So Maui Silver Jewelry on Facebook and Instagram, both are easy ways to contact me. Probably my preference.
So how did you start with jewelry?
Back when we first moved to Maui, we were looking for jobs, and I was this close to getting a job with the public health in Maui. The director of this one section was really excited about what I would be bringing.
That would be Murphy that you'd be hearing, and she would like to join the podcast. So,
Hey, Murphy. So I was close to getting a job, and then somebody internally took the position. And so our friends that we were staying with at the time, they ran a jewelry import business. They were wholesalers, and so an opportunity came up for a location to do retail. And we said, hey, do you guys want to do this with us? Like a little joint effort? And they said, oh no, we got too much going on. We're doing Costco road shows and all this stuff, but go ahead and here's $10,000 in inventory. Why don't you go open a store?
Okay.
We're like, okay, sounds great. So we didn't know what we were doing back then, and we just figured it out. And we had a great, really great run, lots of challenges, but we met them and continued on. And we really were probably at our most successful and kind of running the business like the most simple, like just my husband and I were working it, because after COVID, like we couldn't keep employees anymore, or we had to let everyone go during COVID. And then we just never rehired anybody, and we just learned how to do it ourselves, everything.
So in Maui, you just had the storefront.
That's right. We had no other businesses that supported us. It was just a great business, very tourist driven. The location was incredible. We were right next to Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Oh, nice.
If anybody remembers that.
So when you came here, you changed your model, because then you went into
instead
online.
Of having a storefront, I don't really want to have a storefront again. I know what that's like, in terms of overhead and really the time commitment. I worked 6 days a week back in Maui the last, couple years or so that we had the business. And I didn't want to recreate that here. I wanted to kind of take what we've learned from that bit experience and then not repeat any of the things I didn't like. Another
advantage of starting over. You've got a bunch of experience to base it on now. So custom toe rings, how do you do that online?
So that's, it's the custom part is the fitting actually. So people have to measure their toe and we have instructions. I know it sounds funny, but people measure their fingers. It's really no different. It sometimes takes a little bit of back and forth sometimes through the mail, which a little toe ring is a tiny little thing to mail. So it's not a big deal. But we actually have a really loyal customer base from those 18 years. In fact, they contributed to our recovery as well, which was incredible. So keeping the business alive has been kind of more of a cathartic than financial decision.
So let's talk about your customer base that you brought with you. How did you communicate? Was email, telephone? How did they know what was going on?
Yeah, the website. I actually have one person that I still do have contract work with that we've worked with for like 10 years. And she helps me maintain the website and maintain like a newsletter with our customer base. So when she found out what was happening, she contacted me and said, "Hey, is it okay if I put a donate button, on the website in case people want to support you? Because this is horrendous, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Sure," So she did this really sweet thing and she set it up and people just donated to us, just anywhere from $5 to $500, just wanting to see us survive, the situation.
And that says a lot about the service and the quality of the relationships that you built. that, I mean, you survived COVID, you survived a fire, and you survived moving halfway across the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And don't forget the recessions of 2008 and whatever other. Yeah, for
and
sure.
And teenagers.
Yes, we have teenagers now, so we haven't survived that yet.
Okay.
We have a 13 and a 17-year-old. And that, I'd say, is my main priority of like why I don't want to go get a job and be out of the home. I want to be around. I want to be there to pick them up if they'll let me pick them up, you know, because I don't want to miss these years. I know they're going really, really fast. And we've always prioritized our family just throughout. And that's really why we started the business in Maui, was again, so that we could kind of control our schedules and things like that.
But would you say that moving to a virtually entirely e-commerce base has given you more control over quality of life?
Right. I mean, of course, not having a brick and mortar is great. Like I mentioned, I don't want to go back to that setup, but it's not our jewelry business. Like, it's just a token. It doesn't support us, you know, like it did. It supported us for 18 years. But so now it's more of just like a hobby, you know, that I'm keeping going.
It's called a side hustle.
Hustle is the new term.
That sounds cooler.
Yeah. Sides, definitely. But, you know, like I said, it's more cathartic and emotional. It's really fun. Like I'll wake up and, I got an order, you know, while I was sleeping. And almost every time it's somebody who's bought from us before, and they have a great memory and a story. And, you know, sometimes they've lost something, they want to replace it. I had recently someone who, you know, broke a toe ring and sent it to us, and my husband fixed it. And we sent it back, and she bought a few more, you know, so that it is true. Like what you said about our service, like we always have just been 100% just customer service focused. And, you know, we just made friends with everyone who came into our store.
Well, you were living in Hawaii. That had to be really easy to do.
It was. Everyone's on vacation. Happy,
and they want to bring something back home from Maui, and Maui Silver Jewelry. Awesome.
Yeah.
So now even that, so this is more of a hobby now.
Right.
Are you really marketing or advertising, or is it just as it comes?
I'm not spending any money on advertising, that's for sure. I am a chamber member, and I the first year living here, I was pretty active. You know, I did what was it called? I was the host of it's not the Women in Networking group, but it's Empower Her, it's called. Mm-hmm. So I did have an event, you know, where I got to tell my story, and I had all the jewelry set up, and it was a lovely night. But, you know, and like, so I've done this and that, but not super consistent. But then again, I have the little display in Bourbon Bells and Babes, and they're open, I think 5 days a week. Okay. And so people make purchases in there, and that's again, it just feels good. You know, somebody loves the jewelry, they get it, everyone's happy.
So since Sherry asked a marketing question, I'm going to ask a technology question.
Sure.
In moving from a entirely brick and mortar to entirely e-commerce, have you faced many challenges as far as cybersecurity, online scammers, and what are you doing to protect yourself?
That's a great question. We have experienced a couple scammers through the website. Fortunately, just a couple really in all the years. And we've had the website for years and years. So it's not a new website. It's just there's no store attached to it anymore. I almost really got scammed bad for somebody who wanted a gold chain, like a thick, like a $5,000 gold chain. Ooh. Yeah. And he had me going for a little bit. And then, Square, I work with Square, for the credit card processing, and they contacted me and said, this doesn't look right. You know, you need to stop all contact with this person. So luckily it was, they reached out to me before I actually had the chain sent to them. So it would have been a drop ship situation where I was, So there was that. And then I think the only other time there was one, again, where I think they were ordering gold. It was again gold. We don't do a lot in gold. We're Maui Silver, right? Mm-hmm. But we have grown into having 14 karat gold as we, as the business grew. And we didn't want to change our name to Maui Silver and Gold Jewelry. So if you know, but we have some 14 karat, and I had some scammers, and then I couldn't tell you how to do this, but I've done it where I check and see. I could see all the orders that didn't go through. And then there was one that went through, and it was 50 attempts. And then within a half a second of each other, and then one that made it through. Right. So Square, I guess I rely on Square mostly for that. So I think it was a bot, right, that was trying to get through, and one got through. And I've learned to recognize when an order is not legit. And luckily, it's only happened a couple times.
Yeah, because you know what your clients or your customers look like.
Like I said, most of the time they even tell me a story of when they, and that guy with the gold chain, I even was like, now, how do you know about our store? You know what I mean? Because that was when we were still in Maui.
But see, that is a perfect example of, people think that these cyber attacks, they only hit big companies and that. I mean, but a small jewelry business in Maui gets, and a $5,000 hit, that would be probably pretty significant, for your business to have to recover from, probably for a couple of months or whatever to come back from. So it's just, thank goodness Square was watching out for you.
Yes.
So it's very important to have those vendors who take that seriously. So, and you had a good relationship with them.
Agreed.
So good.
Yes.
Before we move on to Living Waters Kentucky, if there's somebody who's listening who's thinking about starting an e-commerce business, what would you tell them from your years of experience that they need to know going into it?
Well, I would say, here's a little, my girl Christy has been a great help. I don't try to do it all yourself. I think that is just ridiculous. I think hiring somebody who, has experience and can manage, your website is really worth it. It's been great for me because I don't want to learn all that. Right. I just don't. And I'm willing, there's some parts of it that I'm willing to do. I do know how to make changes to the website, or the inventory and things like that. But when it comes to the design and all the interfaces and all the details of, it's really nice to have help.
When you and your husband first started the business, what was your main goal? Was it quality of life? Was it the income? Was it, to be, working together? I mean, the whole husband-wife dynamic had to be an interesting thing too. So
that's a great question. I'd say, when we moved to Maui, our plan was to kind of work together. Our intention was to work together and also be able to raise a family, because living in San Francisco back in the early 2000s, he was working 70 hours a week, and I was in grad school. We just didn't see each other. And we were like, how are we going to start a family? We were married. And so that was part of our intention of moving there, was to change our lifestyle so that we could prioritize kids. I was even a very highly paid nanny, for people in San Francisco. So I was like, I don't want to hire someone like me. I want to be the mom,
Right.
So that was our intention. And it worked out so well. I mean, any husband, wife, or other, gay couple who does a business together, it is a sign of a very strong relationship. And it's great because you trust them to do what they do and they trust you to do what you do. So you can just really divide and really use your strengths. And that's just great for small business.
That's awesome.
So let's move on to Living Waters Kentucky. That's your new endeavor. Mm-hmm. And you were telling us before we got started that that's really a passion for you.
Absolutely.
As she picks up a bottle, a jar, which I'm assuming has water in it and not moonshine.
Usually,
but this is Kentucky, so you can never tell.
Yeah, I know, that's hilarious. We get a lot of that joke.
I'm sure.
There's just something about drinking out of a big wide glass mouth that this water, you want to take the most in that you can at each sip. There's no little sip of this water. It's just extremely nourishing to drink. So you just don't know until you try it. But anyway, let's see. So what I got to tell you about how this started is that back in 2021, we invested in the water ionizer for our home in Maui for health reasons. And it is a certified medical grade machine that's made in Japan. Okay. And just FYI, it takes about twice as long to get a machine certified medical grade in Japan than it does in the US. It's about 8 years instead of 4 or 5.
Wow.
And this company has been around since 1974. Okay. I believe. And so they're the leader. It's the leading water ionizer in the world. But it really helped us with some health issues, my husband and I, and we were pretty healthy. We were pretty fit and, riding our bikes to work and drinking water and drinking coffee and, not drinking sodas and not really eating fast food.
And living in Maui,
swimming, like surfing. And like you'd look at us and you're like, oh, you guys are healthy. But, we both had some symptoms that we were like, what is this? And the doctors were like, I don't know. So we took it in our own hands and got the water ionizer. We found out about it through a friend in the neighborhood who had one. So we actually got to try the water for quite a while before we invested in our own system. It's called a water share. And that's essentially what I set up downtown Frankfurt for the community. But so we got the machine, but then it did burn in the fire. Okay. Yeah. So when the company found out that it burned in the fire, and this is true for all the people that owned one in Lahaina, which it was a few of us, not just me, they replaced it for free.
Wow.
That's incredible.
They mailed it to us here in Frankfurt, didn't even ask for shipping payment, mailed it here, FedEx ground, and we received it in August of 2024. Okay, so a whole year went by and none of my health concerns came back. Wow. During that year that I didn't have it. The only thing that maybe shifted a little was my metabolism had slowed down a little that year, but I also might have been eating more donuts and, adjusting to Frankfurt winter.
Probably not as many fresh fruits as you get in Maui.
And quite a few changes.
And we do have a number of good donut places. So
yeah, very close by.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or fortunately, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, no, I wasn't riding my bike to work anymore and a lot of changes. However, since we got it set up again in August, those first 6 months of drinking it again, lost the weight that I had gained that year that I didn't have it, which was about 14 pounds.
Wow.
So it's a good amount. Well, and that's the only thing I changed. Was that I got my water machine again. I didn't change anything in my diet. I wasn't trying to lose weight. I didn't change my exercise routine, nothing like that.
So what exactly are the health benefits of the ionizing water?
So the water, it gets purified first, right? So it's very clean water. Okay. There's no contaminants in it. It's incredibly good. Like arsenic is taken out if there was arsenic in our water. So it's not just a clean water for taste. It's also really clean for our health. And then it is ionized by the machine. And what happens is I don't know if you've ever heard of blue zones or, people going to miracle waters to go get their miracle, for a miracle that they need healing. But basically the ionizer is mimicking that kind of water, that water that is naturally mineralized by the location of the minerals in the water, maybe through the rocks. And the scientific name for it is electrolyzed reduced water. So the water molecules are being split into smaller molecules. One, that makes them easier to absorb. So our bodies just absorb it literally like right into your gums. You start absorbing it. You could guzzle. I could drink this whole thing and I won't have that sloshy, heavy, water feel in my tummy. It just absorbs so fast. And then it's antioxidant rich because, so you have the little molecules, but then also it's also called molecular hydrogen. So it's these little you see the little bubbles in there? Mm-hmm, that's right. Molecular hydrogen. Those little bubbles are, have a charge to them. Okay, so you had a little bit of water in a little plastic. Yep. This water is actually, it takes a charge out of you when you drink that. Like you actually are going to lose energy to process that water. In this water, it's going to give me energy. It's going to have that little ion exchange because of it goes through that electrolysis process in the machine.
Okay.
Hopefully I didn't overwhelm you guys. That was
I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
She's the engineer in the group, so she's geeking out.
I do, sorry.
Great.
But my brother had cancer a couple years ago, and they had him drinking that, it's like the Propel or the water, it's the electrolyte water that you get at Kroger, and it was expensive, of course. So, because I know it was supposed to have been, the antioxidants and all those things that are healthy for you. So I might understand that what you have is a way to get that without having to buy those very expensive bottles.
Yes. And if I were to compare the Propel right now to this water, they would not really compare very well, unfortunately. So something like Propel or Essentia or Gatorade or Smart Water, all of those waters have a positive oxidation potential rate. So they are oxidizing us. And like I said, they're causing us to actually lose energy and it takes a charge just to process that, as where this water is a negative number, that's what makes it an antioxidant.
Oh, okay.
A true antioxidant is going to be a negative ORP. And this water is 1 to 400 negative, and those drinks I just mentioned are 300 positive.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so it's a real big balance. You have a 0 in the middle, and then a big difference. And I this is the kind of thing I do in my water demos, which I just had a couple this last weekend. It's really interesting to see it right in front of your eyes.
So this is how you sell the product, is by actual in-person demos.
Yeah, I do the demos for educational purposes, so people understand the water they're drinking. So all of my members are required to come to a demo once every 3 months to stay educated about what they're drinking.
Okay.
So they're members, so you're buying a membership.
Yeah, they're buying a membership with their vessel. There'll be a sticker on the vessel that they will refill unlimited. So again, it's a one-time fee. Most people start with a glass gallon for $35, and then that's it. That's their only time they pay money, and then they just refill it unlimited down at the fill station, which is inside River City Provisions. And then they come to a water demo and they're get their mind blown, but the meantime, they're experiencing the benefits. And if you want to hear, I can just rattle off some of the things people report to me.
Sure, please.
And sometimes it's
because I probably have half of those.
Sometimes it's even in the first gallon.
If she doesn't have half of them, she will by the time you're done talking.
You're right. Yes.
Okay. So a major change that people report. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing or treating anybody. All I'm doing is providing a medical grade water that actually helps people heal themselves. Okay, that's the distinction here. It just Kangen water. Kangen means in Japan, in Japanese, return to origin. So it's helping your own body, and all of our bodies are different. We all have different challenges, different genetics, different diets, different stressors. And so what I'm finding from my water members, which I have about 25 so far, and we just opened in January, in the middle of winter, but what digestion issues go away. Okay. So bloating, constipation. So yeah, I've never had better digestion in my life. And all of my members, many of them report the same thing, the improved digestion. What's the word? It decreases inflammation.
Anti-inflammatory.
Okay. I couldn't think of the word anti. Thank you. Major anti-inflammatory. And I think that might even be why I lost 14 pounds. I think I was inflamed, 14 pounds of inflamed, when you think about the different inflammation all over, because it's not like I lost weight in my butt, in my chest, like where women hate to lose it. No, I lost it just all over, generally, my face, my hands, like just less swelling, discomfort. Menstrual cycles majorly helps. I've never met a woman who drinks this water who has tough periods anymore.
Wow.
Not one.
So that's your hormones
the water is so smart. The antioxidant nature, it is a selective antioxidant. So what that means is it's going after free radicals in a smart way. Wherever the free radicals are harming you the most, the water is going to go there, and it's going to annihilate them, get rid of them, help your body detox and flush.
So it's good for people with chronic illnesses.
Absolutely. So when I mentioned the inflammation, I have people with bad arthritis and pain that this water is helping them with, right?
You just got a new customer. I see the look in her eye.
Yeah. Okay, so digestion, anti-inflammatory, increases metabolism. We talked about that. And to me, that's not like, I'm not like, oh, great, I lost 10 pounds or whatever. It's like, no, oh, great, my metabolism is working better. You know what I mean? It's having a slow metabolism to me is like a sign of illness, a sign of dysfunction. Something isn't working in your body. And there's so many things in our modern world that disrupt our metabolism. They say 1 in 3 people are pre-diabetic in America.
I believe that.
And probably higher in Kentucky given our diabetes rates.
Yes.
That's true. So you just feel better.
Energy. Oh, brain fog. Goodbye.
Really?
Oh, mental clarity. Gosh, the list goes on and on. I have some lists on the back of my business card, but definitely enhances energy, boosts immunity, and super hydrating. So if you are working out a lot, or maybe your job requires a lot of physical labor, you're going to be more hydrated. You're not going to get sick as much. We are made of 70% water. It only takes 2% of being a little bit dehydrated, 2% in your body to get brain fog.
Wow.
That's all. It does not take much to create brain fog in your body. And this water permeates the blood-brain barrier. Okay, so people who have migraines, this really helps them.
Well, like you were saying, how with the smaller molecules, it can just like go seeps into your gums even before you swallow it. So it's getting through everything. So that's crazy.
Yeah. So you have that, that absorption, but then you also have that smart antioxidant that's going after the free radicals. 1 glass of this water is like 4 pints of blueberries. Eating 4 pints of it, that's the antioxidant equivalent.
So how much do you drink a day or recommend?
A gallon.
Wow.
Yeah. So 4 of these is my minimum goal.
So when people come to get the refill, how often are they coming? Or
Unfortunately, most people don't drink a gallon a day. I mean, I need to drink a gallon for my size. I'm almost 5'10", but smaller people can drink a little bit less a day. You want to drink half your body weight in ounces a day is the recommendation.
And you use it for making coffee and other. Do you use it for cooking?
Oh yeah. Excellent for cooking and like making rice or pasta, teas, coffee. The only time we tell people do not drink this water, for one, is with any time-sensitive medication. So any medication that you take that you're literally, when you swallow it, drink it with neutral water, not this water. Because that medication was not intended to be absorbed faster.
Oh, I got you.
Got it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the water ionizer actually creates 5 different kinds of water. And one of them is a neutral, clean water that is for baby formula or taking with medication. Or if you just want a glass of clean water, maybe you have a friend coming over and you don't want to give them the alkaline,
not a very good friend,
water, or if they have a kidney disease, they're not meant to drink the alkaline water
because of the body's filtration. Is
altered, I guess. Is what you'd say.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So normally I would say, so if we've got somebody listening that wanted this water, how would they go about it? But since I'm pretty sure Sherry wants it, why don't you tell Sherry what Sherry needs to do?
Sure.
Yes.
All you got to do is reach out to me and make an appointment down at the fill station. Okay. You can go in there any day. They're open 7 days a week. But if I'm not there to have kind of introduction to the water, nobody's going to let you leave there with water. The people who work there are, strict because who knows if you have kidney disease or you're going to go take it with some medication. So it's very important that you start with me and you get started. And then once you get started, then you can come and refill on your own. And the people that work in the store can help you refill until it's obvious and you know how to do it yourself.
Now, you had mentioned a glass jar. Do you recommend glass over plastic or metal?
Yes, I absolutely only recommend drinking anything out of glass or metal that is like a hydro flask that has been treated to hold the pH. That's why hydro flasks can hold, things don't go bad, it holds the quality. It's almost like a little refrigerator, right? A hydro flask container. But all these cups and stuff that women drink out of with their straws, those are not the same. They're not holding the charge because they're not treated like a hydro flask.
Okay. And I wasn't joking earlier. Yeah. She's drinking out of a quart canning glass.
It's a mason jar.
Mason jar. Yeah. I mean, 99 cents at Goodwill. If you're lucky if you can find them, because I bought most of them.
Nice. Okay.
And so you had mentioned earlier $35 for a lifetime membership.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is that it's a little cumbersome to go in and out and refill your thing, whether it's every day, every other day, or twice a week. I do have a 3-gallon BPA-free plastic with a dispenser pump on it that I've had families do that membership. I also have a business on Front Street, that's Maui, on West Main Street it's the Mantis Creative Wellness Center. They have a 3-gallon in there of my 8.5, which is awesome because they come out of the sauna and they get a glass of this water and everyone's just falling in love with it. And then they get my card and become a member. Perfect. So that's been great. A great little new partnership. And I could do that with any business in Frankfurt, any business, gym, wellness center, chiropractic, massage, anybody who is there to support the health of their patrons. It would make a lot of sense to offer them this water.
What about I'm probably going down a rabbit hole here, but what about for animals?
great for animals. All 4 of my pets drink this water. Excellent. Then there's also a pH for plants, and there's a pH for cleaning the pesticides off your produce. So just for a little anecdotal story, last night I was about to slice a tomato for my family for a bunch of burgers, and the tendency is just rinse it under the tap, right? Well, there's a lot of contaminants in our tap water here. I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's 5 actually in mine that I've looked up. You can look it up on the ewg.org website and put in your zip code, but you don't want to put those contaminants right on your food that you're about to eat. And it's not cleaning anything off of your food besides maybe a fleck of dirt or something, right? Mm-hmm. So what I do is I soaked it for 5 minutes in a bowl of 11.5 water, which is what my ionizer can make. And about 5 minutes later, that water, pale green.
Wow.
And you don't want to be eating that. It's atrazine, it's pesticides. It's not good for us.
So when we think that we're eating healthy, we're eating fruits and vegetables.
I did my strawberries the other day, and the whole bowl of water was yellow. Just the grossest stuff. So and not only is it bad for our health, but the flavor is so much better when you get that stuff off your tomatoes or your strawberries, your berries. Mm-hmm.
Well, and even if, you're getting reasonably clean water, there's no telling what your house is going to put into it either, because there are a lot of old houses here that haven't had the plumbing updated in a century.
Yes. And again, that's why we use this pre-filter that cleans the water so well and removes all those contaminants. But it doesn't remove the minerals, because the ionizer needs the minerals to make those pHs to become that special water. And it really enhances too, like I said, like we were talking about how with medication, you can't, you don't want to drink this water because it's going to absorb too fast. Mm-hmm. But say you drink this water with some vitamins or green, something nutritious, it actually enhances the bioavailability. You're going to get so much more out of what you take with it.
So this is Kentucky, and I would be bad if I didn't ask. Has anybody made bourbon out of it yet?
I knew that was coming at this point.
So I highly recommend making ice cubes with the water, either the 9.5 or even the 11.5. And you can put an ice cube in your alcohol cup, your cup of alcohol, whether it's wine or bourbon, and it will alkaline the beverage to a degree, and it can for sure make it easier for your body to handle it. For sure, I never get hungover anymore. And I do like alcohol occasionally, like not every day, but so it's nice. Typically what happens though when people drink this water is that they just want to drink this water all the time. So like when I am going to a party, I always bring this water with me. I'll bring a bottle of wine and I'll bring a gallon of water.
Oh, wow.
And everybody ends up wanting to have some.
Because they think it's moonshine. Okay. So, Maui Silver Jewelry, how are people want to get in touch with you if they're interested in that?
Yeah, the website is perfect, mauisilverjewelry.com.
And for Living Waters Kentucky, they want to do what?
Living Waters doesn't have its website, so just Facebook, Living Waters Kentucky, or my email is celiadoss@yahoo.com.
And we will have that in the notes.
Mm-hmm. And just to make sure everyone understands that the fill station is there, 7 days a week. if people would just want a system in their home, I'm a distributor for the two companies, the pre-filter and the ionizer, and you can invest in a whole house filter, a point of use filter, very reasonable costs. So if people just like, oh, I'm sick of going in, I don't want to, or I live in another town and I don't want to come in down into Frankfurt every other day to fill my water, but they want these machines, then just contact me for that.
So a $35 investment to see if they like it, and then if they do, then you can take the next step.
Exactly.
Great.
Once you get feeling good, you're going to be like, I want my family to feel good. I want my pets to feel good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And so what are you doing to get the word, other than being on our podcast, which we appreciate? What else, how are you getting the word out?
Again, I'm active with the Chamber of Commerce.
That's how we met.
Yes, that's how we met. So that's a real fun way to get out. I'm really like, this so far is kind of like you said before, labor of love, kind of a service project in a way, like a way to give back, a way to pay it forward, help people feel better with such a tiny little investment, $35 for 60 gallons of water or however much they want to drink. But I don't have a budget for marketing. So if anybody has free marketing ideas for me, send them my way.
All right.
Well, and the thing about it is that I can tell you believe in what you're doing, and that really comes across. And when somebody is trying to help make your life better, I think that's a huge part of who you are. And so I appreciate what you're doing for the community. I think it's awesome.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. I mean, I am literally a living proof, of how it can help you, as well as my husband and my kids. I have stories, galore. Like I could talk all night.
Especially for kiddos. I mean, they go through their growth spurts and all this and that, and they go through the things that teenagers go through. So this can't do anything but help make that a little bit easier.
They even have studies showing this water helps with mental health, which is very interesting. Yeah, there's tons and tons of scientific studies of how molecular hydrogen helps, and especially during chemo. Really, really good protocols for that. And over 8,000 doctors use this water in their practices in Japan.
You need to be getting this into like my brother went to the UK Markey Cancer Center. Is that where he got his chemo? I mean, even like those types of places, if you got the water into there, I would
love it. If anyone has a connection, as somebody, it's a tough, the healthcare system in America is a tough cookie to crack.
No doubt.
But I'm here, for the long run. I'm not going anywhere. So.
Okay. All right. Well, again, Celia, thank you. And it is Maui Silver Jewelry in Living Waters, Kentucky. We've got all the contact information in the notes for the show. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Celia, thank you again for joining us. It's been a pleasure to learn everything about your interesting journey all the way from Hawaii to Frankfurt. And it's a nice addition to the community.
Absolutely. I tell you what, I learned so much about, who knew there was so much to learn about water, but I'm excited to try it.
Like I said, I think Sherry's going to be probably following you out the door here. So that is going to do it for this episode of The Sidewalk CEO. I am Leo Haggerty.
And I'm Sherry Donahue.
Have a great day.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Sidewalk CEO podcast with Sherry Donahue of Commonwealth Sentinel Cybersecurity and Leo Haggerty of TCHQ Communications. You can learn more about the Sidewalk CEO on the web at thesidewalkceo.com and on social media. The Sidewalk CEO is recorded in the studios of TCHQ Communications in Frankfort, Kentucky. Check us out next week for the next episode of The Sidewalk CEO.